Cool. Should be good, Cole. Awesome. Let's start this bad boy up.
Okay.
We have Drew Miller here, who I had the pleasure of playing with at Michigan State. We were actually, I don't know if you remember, but we were roommates my freshman year. So it was your junior year. I believe, yeah, it was your junior year.
Yep.
And my freshman year. So we were road roomies and, learned a lot from you, obviously. And wanted to have you, thank you for coming on. I wanted to have you on here and talk about what you're doing nowadays. Talk a little bit about hockey, some maybe a story or two that you can share. And I know there's plenty that we cannot share. And so just want to kind of talk about that, what you're doing now, have an awesome insurance business, and talk about that a little bit. And you were at State for 3 years, obviously part of the Miller family. One of the few people who was captain junior year, so before they were a senior. So one of the a very select few that was actually a captain at Michigan State as a junior. Obviously, like I said, part of the Miller family. A long line. I think every single person in your entire extended family has played at Michigan State University.
Yeah, quite a bit of them.
Yeah. Brother Ryan obviously won the Hobie Baker there and played in the NHL for a long time. Is playing still. And Drew, you played for 12 years and played for the Wings, which a lot of people in this area obviously will recognize you from that, probably more than anything. So take it away. I want to share a little bit about just maybe some of those experiences in hockey. But like I said, wanted to have you on here because of the new ventures that you and I have going on, just new businesses we started in the last handful of years, and the insurance business you've got going, which is awesome. And then again in a little bit we'll talk about the show that you have going on, which I think is awesome and absolutely incredible. And like I was telling you the other day, I think the coolest part is you can always look back and say you had a show that you started and this huge thing is it'll be huge someday. And I guarantee you that. And it will be something you started during the great coronavirus, cerveza sickness, whatever you want to call it. 2020. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate the great intro. And
yeah.
I can't take all the credit. There's a lot of people in my family that made the name what it is at Michigan State. But looking back on our years and at Michigan State together, definitely being a captain my junior year, one of the roles not only to lead the team and be one of the older guys in the locker room is also you take the freshmen under your wing and you try to groom them and get them to a spot where they're able to take over and be a leader later in their years at Michigan State. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the things that we did, and I was lucky enough to have you, buddy, take you under my wing. So no, it's our time at Michigan State was great. A lot of fun there. When I look back at our time at university and on the ice, off the ice, there's a lot of great memories. I think winning GLIs or league championships, things like that. I look back and just I just have great memories of lifting the cup. I think it was the Mason Cup, and bringing it back home to East Lansing from Joe Louis Arena and taking it to Rick's and having some drinks out of it. And
or local business,
yeah, for sure. And I think so. I think just looking back, and I think a lot of my great friends that I still have now and people I keep in contact with are guys that I played at Michigan State with. We had such a great bond there, and that's something that will stay with us forever. And then as far as, I mean, I left after my junior year, and you guys had to get rid of the riffraff and then win the national championship the next year. So what a great experience for you guys and for Spartan hockey. But I definitely moved on to pro hockey and had the opportunity to play for me a long career. 12 years was a long career for playing pro hockey for me.
Seriously.
And
what's the average career is like what, like 4 or 5 years or something like that?
I'm not even sure what the exact.
I know football's like 2 or 3, but I think hockey's like double. I want to say it's like 5.
It's probably a little longer.
Yeah,
but it's I had a time in my life. I loved it. I loved the excitement of playing in front of the fans. I loved the discipline, the routines, and having a schedule that kind of kept you on track. And definitely having the summers off, and Michigan was great because summers in Michigan are awesome. So a lot of time on the lake and
you go up north a lot, don't you?
What's that?
You go up north a lot, don't you?
Yeah, we're I wouldn't say way up north, but
Yeah.
it's enough
Yeah.
of a getaway to be in the wilderness and kind of,
Yeah.
hockey's
Away.
so go regimented. It's
Yeah.
nice to kind of take that step back and kind of relax, get away from it, regroup, get the body, the mind kind of feeling right, and then you jump
Yes.
back into it again. So, yeah, the hockey career is something that I think that I'll always be able to look back on and say, hey, I played pro hockey. And one of the things I'm really trying to do with my hockey career is take a lot of the lessons that I learned and translate that into my business life now. And I'm doing
Yeah.
insurance.
That's what I was
So
gonna ask you. Yeah. Yeah. What translated? Like, what were some of those things that? Because I know I have my own. Everyone's got their own things, but like, there's so many things where like, wow, that didn't translate at all. Some things really translated and help you in the business world and starting your own business.
yeah,
What are some of those things that, yeah, you're like, wow, that I'm really glad I had that, background to help me in this.
yeah, I think that there's definitely some core values that I'm trying to translate and try to adapt into my new business, which is person or relationships with people and building that trust um, and providing them a service that is going to protect their assets. And some of the things that I think that are big are competitiveness, work ethic. I mean, I played in the fourth line in the NHL for a long time, and not a lot of people understand that that's a bubble spot, and you got to be mentally and physically
Yeah.
like with it every single day because your job is on the line. So I think in high pressure situations and competitive situations, I feel very comfortable in that. So when I go into a situation where in insurance, if someone needs something right now or someone else is bidding on it and there's this and that and people are freaking out or worried or this and that, I feel like I can be pretty calm, cool, collected and say, hey, you know what? Like if we take care of what we can control and we provide the best that we know we can provide, then we did our part, and then it's on that person to make the decision. And it's just I'm taking some of those experiences that I've had in dealing in high pressure situations, whether it's a talk with a GM, with a coach, playing in a big game. I mean, there's so many different things that I feel like I can draw on and try to take those experiences and kind of settle myself down. So yeah, I think that I always am comparing things in business world to hockey because that's, if you think about it, gents, we got pretty much a PhD or whatever in hockey. I mean, we've played to the highest levels. We've played for so long that when me and you, if we were to sit here and talk X's and O's, people would be surprised being like, what are you guys talking about? You're speaking a different language.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's one of those things that I'm trying my hardest to take what was the best at and something I'm so knowledgeable about and take that and use it in my life after hockey. And I think that that's something that's helped me be successful so far is just what hockey has prepared me in a work ethic and a way of being able to talk and communicate with people, because in hockey, you have so many different teammates along the way. They have different backgrounds, different age, different so many differences that you got to learn how to adapt and be with those people. I mean, you're with your teammates, you are with your families at times. So it's one of those things that I think those are some of the things that I'm trying to draw on to be successful. And yeah, I'm enjoying the insurance business. I don't think anyone really enjoys sitting at the desk and punching numbers in and doing that kind of stuff.
Right.
But I think that the part that I enjoy is relationships and forming those relationships and forming a trust.
You've always been great at that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's fun. I love talking to people. And some people might not enjoy insurance and they some people get pissed off about insurance or insurance carriers or stuff like that. But for me, I always try to put their best interests at the forefront of what we're doing and build a policy or a group of policies that can protect them and make sure that their interests and everything that they've worked hard for their whole life is not going to go away like that things are in place that are going to protect them. So that's what I like. You're helping someone and you're dealing with people, and I like people.
Yeah. And like you said too, you touched on, I mean, you're building a team. You're used to being around teams and building teams and leading teams, and that's what you're doing now. So I mean, I think you're spot on with that assessment. I would say the same thing just as an outsider. Like, yeah, that's something you're really good at, and I know is translating very well on the insurance side. And you're gonna have a huge business because of that. Because like you said earlier too, like different people coming from different areas, different cultures, literally different nationalities, and having to bring those people together. Yeah, and again, you being a leader, especially when we first linked up at Michigan State, and being a junior captain, and just being able to, again, leaders have to be able to know how each of their guys function, and that is something that you are good at, and a good communicator, and really have a relationship with each guy. And I think that when I look at the best leaders that I've seen in my life, those are the guys, the things that you did, and some were good leaders and some were bad leaders, and it's like the ones that were the best were the ones that had that relationship with each person. And that's what you would do. I mean, you had relationships with freshmen and upperclassmen, people above you and below you, and that's huge. I mean, when the leader just sits back and is like, well, hey, I'm high and mighty, it doesn't bode very well usually. And I'm sure you ran into that in the NHL, in different areas. Obviously, good leaders, bad leaders, obviously coaches and captains that were, some sat back and some, just in their laurels, and then others were like, hey, I got a relationship with each guy, and those were the leaders that are generally loved, right? So,
I definitely, I definitely had made mistakes as along the way, and definitely at Michigan State, I wasn't a perfect leader, and I never really thought I was, but I tried to do the best I could. And like you said, I tried to understand each person individually, and tried to make sure that no one was left behind. I think that's the biggest thing in sports, and I think that that's a big thing in Michigan State. Before us, before and after us is no one's left behind. Everyone's pulling everyone along, and making sure that the whole team is there together. And so I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is you learn from mistakes, and that's something that I'm all right with, that, like admitting the mistakes, and someone doesn't like something, I try to take constructive criticism the best I can, because I think it makes me better a person, and a better leader, and a better all around person in the end. So it's one of those things that I'm all right with making mistakes, because I'm trying, and I'm willing to change and tweak things, or pivot a little bit and go this way instead of that way. But no, it's definitely one of the things that with business is you're always trying to pivot and change, and be innovative, and do something that's going to make you successful. And I think that that's another thing that I've learned from sports and from hockey, is that you're like, last season something might have worked, but this season it might not work. People are watching film, or you got to change and adapt. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's something that I've been trying to be proactive instead of reactive with things in business. And I think that's to touch on the show that I'm doing is I'm trying to be proactive, and I'm trying to help these small businesses. I have a lot of clients that the coronavirus really affected, and I want to get their name out there the best I can through my platform, and give them that value added service. And it's something for me that, like we touched on earlier, I want to help people, and I want to help my clients. And I thought that this would be a great way to start helping them even more than just getting a good quality policy, but let's help them get their name out there. Let's help them find a way to, if they're not on the internet as much as they could be, or if they're not doing Google reviews or different things, there's things that we can help them kind of get their presence on the internet out there more.
I mean, and it's surprising how few people are really doing that. I think it was like a stat from like a year or two ago, and like only 6% of businesses were doing Facebook ads. And it's like, that's where everyone lives, is Facebook and Instagram and all these places. And so few people are doing it. So I think what you're doing is so important. It's just huge for the business community, because, if this the last couple months didn't show people, like if you're not online, or, if you're not out there digitally, then you're pretty much gone, and physically you were gone, because people couldn't go to you. So huge, absolutely huge.
And I think, like, I got one of my first interviews I did on my show was with, so I do part celebrity to bring notice to the series, the video series.
It's called Game On, by the way, just so everyone knows.
Game On, Game On, Drew Miller Insurance.
Facebook,
Posts of
LinkedIn,
Facebook,
all
yep,
those. Yeah.
all the, yep, all those. So it's just bringing that awareness to small businesses. And then when I'm talking to celebrities as well, I'm trying to get some kind of advice out of them that translates in the business that would help
Yeah.
business people.
Yeah.
And I think my first interview was with Dave Coulier from Full House, and he's awesome. He's a funny guy, but he's also a business guy. He is self-made. I mean, he moved out to Hollywood when he was young, and he had to find his way, and he learned, and he was with some of the great people out there that run a lot of the businesses and production companies. And I mean, he learned, and he said to me, he's like, don't be afraid of failure. And he said, you're looking at one of the biggest failures that you'll ever meet. Because you know what? You have to fail and learn to grow. And I thought, like, that is something that, I mean, I know from hockey.
You can always get better at
kind
that.
of failure.
Yeah.
You're getting sent down to the minors, or you don't make a team, and or you're out of the lineup that night, whatever it is. I mean, those are little failures that you got to learn from, and you got to bounce back. And for him, he was like saying, hey, I didn't get that role.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't get that role like 25 times. When you get one, then all of a sudden it makes you. So it's like, I think that's the biggest thing for people out there right now is everyone's so afraid to fail. I think people are afraid that everyone's watching them. And you know what? There's always going to be haters. There's always going to be people that are going to see a video or something and say, oh my God, that guy's an idiot. What's he doing? Oh my God, dye his hair. That's the one I get a lot.
Right.
But you know what? You got to be true to yourself. You got to put yourself out there, because I think the majority of the people out there watching are going to get value out of it. They're going to be supportive, and you can't just not do things because one or two or a small group of people are saying, don't do it, or what are you doing? So I think that's a big thing, is you got to put yourself out there.
Yeah, absolutely. What and we kind of like touched on this a little bit, but a couple of different things came up where I made me think of this question, which being, going from MSU, leaving when you were a junior, being captain, being one of the top players in the country, to all of a sudden, hey, now I'm in the pro ranks. I'm in, an NHL, AHL, I'm in the minors, I'm up and down. What was like one of the biggest transition, aha moments, or like the things you learned, like, whoa, like all of a sudden, hey, there's a lot of good guys, there's a lot of me here, like, what was that thing where you learned, or like, whoa, like I have to get better at this, or was it something physically or mentally? What was like some of those things that you kind of learned, like in that first year or two of like that transition to professional hockey?
Yeah, so I was lucky in the way of, I had an older brother already playing pro hockey, so he was able to give me a little advice going in. But as both you and I know, and everyone out there is aware, that you don't know until you experience it yourself.
Right.
And he was able to tell me, hey, shut your mouth, open your ears, go in there, listen, watch what people do that are successful at what they do. Watch them and learn their routines, learn what they do. And I think that the biggest thing that I learned was consistency. And I think that was a huge thing, is you're judged every practice, every shift, everything you're doing, you're being judged at that level. And if you're not consistent, I mean, you're all of a sudden you're down in the minors next day, because you made an error that they're like, this dude did that like 10 times in a row. He's like, he's out. I mean, he's not ready to go. So it's one of those things that I learned, that you got to be consistent, and you got to, for me, it was like, well, I'm not going to be one of the top scorers on the team at this level. And I scored in college. I scored in the AHL.
Right.
It wasn't going to translate to the NHL in a way that I was going to be.
That's big, dude. That's huge.
So I said, how am I going to stay here? And I was always a defensive player as well in college, and I enjoyed that side of the game. So I tried to be the best penalty killer and the best I could defensively, to be responsible and trusted to be responsible in defensive situations, penalty kill, stuff like that. So I really worked on that side of the game, and that's what kept me in the NHL for so long, is my ability to kill penalties, my ability to play the last minute or two of a game when we're up by a goal and the other team pulls a goalie. I was really good blocking shots. I was really good at knowing where I have to be and being calm, cool, collected. And it was one of those things that I found a niche in Detroit, and I was able to stay so long and not be a top goal scorer or top player on the team. I was one of the guys that, I mean, I was there for 8 years playing the fourth line pretty much. So that doesn't happen too often.
No. So like parlaying this into like the other side of that question, which is like I mean, like you built an incredible career doing that. I think that, I can even speak for myself. I mean, like one of the things that I wouldn't go with me yet. What is one of the biggest things that you saw for people that failed? Like what was like that one thing where it was like, yeah, I mean, guys just would consistently do that and it was just failure. And then they'd be gone. What was like that thing you noticed, maybe two things?
Well, I think that like as you move up through like minor hockey as kids, you start to see the kids, people fall off. And they fall off and they just don't make it, and they either stop playing hockey or they go to high school or whatever. Just like you see, like people start leaving, and you get to college and there's less, and then you get to the pro and there's less, and then you get to NHL. And I think that you see guys that I don't really think it's a failure thing. It's just, I think it's more or less you don't fit into that team's makeup at that time.
Yeah.
And you got to be lucky, man. You got to be lucky to stay there. You got to find a right situation. And you see someone that didn't make it in one organization, and all of a sudden they get picked up by another organization, and all of a sudden they're an every nighter. So I don't think that it's a failure. I think that there's definitely people that maybe do fail, and I think it's mentally they're just not strong enough to take the up and downs or the grind of a season. It just gets to guys and they've had enough, and they're like, I'm done. So I think that I wouldn't say that there's one thing in particular you can kind of put your finger on and say this is why that person failed. I think it's just, I mean, the pressures and the schedule, the travel. I mean, there's so many different factors that go into a season that can really affect. And I think that, I mean, it's just getting the up and down guys, those bubble guys. It wears on you, man. It wears. It really wears on you. So
it's a grind, like you said.
Because everyone's good. Everyone's good in hockey.
And that's, like you said, I think you hit the nail on the head a couple of times. You said like it's mental, like, because again, like you said, everyone's good at that level. Everyone's a great defenseman. Everyone's a great forward. Everyone could score at lower levels. It's like everyone can do everything, and it's like it's just mentally, can you keep with it and be consistent? Like you said earlier, can you be consistent and stay with it every day? I
think a great example of consistency is I played with Pavel Datsyuk. He is one of the best players I've ever played with and against. And the one thing that I've always saw about him is, I mean, other teams would play against us and they would be killing him, man. They'd be trying to slash him, whack him, trick him, this, that. And he was consistently good every night.
Yeah.
He had a skill set. But I think the biggest thing was, he was so mentally strong. He was so good. He knew he was going to be good that night because he expected it of himself. He worked so hard. And, I mean, he was so talented, obviously. But I think that his work ethic was maybe – it might be tough with him, but his work ethic was better than his skill. And I think that that's the biggest thing. You can have all the skill in the world, but if you don't work hard with that, then you're not going to be there to the level that you want to be at. And he was one of those examples that was like, man, the odds were stacked against him every night, and he prevailed. Yeah, and I think it was because he was so mentally strong.
Yeah, that's a great example because, like, I mean, as any sports fan and around here knows, I mean, he's not a huge guy, right? So I mean, like that, mentally, that's a great example. And like one of my other buddies that I played with growing up was Jack Johnson, who plays for Pittsburgh now, I believe. He's been a couple different teams. But he I remember him years ago telling me, like, he's like, when you play, like, there's most guys, when they're coming down on you as a defenseman, okay, kind of know what he's going to do, or like, just depending where he's at on the ice or whatever. But he's like, Datsyuk didn't know what he was going to do when he's coming on you. So how am I supposed to know what he's going to do? It's like, so it was always one of my favorite Datsyuk stories because he was like, I don't know how to defend him. Like, he doesn't know what he's doing. So how do I know what to do?
He's a special player. Definitely.
Just a different level. Cool, man. Well, let's wrap up here with just some of the insurance stuff and just, kind of come back to that. Again, I know we started with a little bit of that and kind of your show of Game On, what you're doing there. But just the insurance business itself, when you're not off helping other business owners and doing other things, insurance wise, what do you offer? What do you do? Where can people find you? Stuff like that. And where do you guys handle in your business?
Yeah, so we're property casualty. So I work for, I'm an agent for Hacker King Sherry insurance agency out of East Lansing. It's actually my brother-in-law, Brian Sherry's family's agency. So that's how I got connected with it. So it's great. We're an independent agency. We provide property casualty, which is for personal, it's home, auto, boat, umbrellas, wrecked vehicles, whatever you got going on. We can take care of the personal, and then we also do commercial. I mean, we can do property, we can do liability, we can do pretty much anything that goes into a commercial side. Employment practice, liability, employment benefit stuff. I mean, most people that have commercial insurance, they know what they need, and we can take care of that. So I enjoy my relationships with my personal side people, their homes and autos and all that kind of stuff. And then I also enjoy building a policy for a commercial, a business or whatever it is. You build that policy for them and make it tailored to them. So I've enjoyed both sides of what I'm able to do. And the good thing about our agency is being an independent agency, we kind of work similar to a broker. Is we go out, we try to find the best policy and the best carrier to work with you. Mm-hmm. And every person has a little bit different makeup. So when you're not just getting that one price from some carriers, we're able to go out there and get a couple of different prices and coverage and find one that works best for each individual. So that's something that's helped me be successful, is have that opportunity and ability to go out there and kind of look at the market and find something that works.
That's awesome. Cool, man. Yeah. Well, appreciate having you on and sharing some stories and stuff.
Yeah,
and,
no problem.
Yeah,
I appreciate
really
having me on. And
yeah,
I know we'll have to definitely get back out on the golf course. And
I know.
That was fun last time we played at the alumni outing.
I feel like we generally see each other like when there's a bunch of green everywhere, whether it's in a football field or on the golf course or something. Yep. Like where it's come back and do this. So yeah, no, we'll definitely have to do.
I wore my green for you today, so I might get my green background. So
more green, right? Yeah, I love it. No, appreciate you, Drew, as always. Yeah, I mean, hope people have some big takeaways, just consistency. Like from Pavel Datsuk on, you had a couple of great consistency stories. So I appreciate you sharing those things. And I think another thing I really like you shared too is just about not being afraid to fail, and also being good under pressure, and just utilizing, because everyone has those times in life where you can utilize those times, whatever they might be in your life, whether it's, hey, I'm on the bubble tonight and I'm playing in a sport or whatever it might be, but you can use those times. And like, as David Goggins says, reach into that cookie jar. We've all got those stories we can reach back to and say like, no, I can do this. I can get through this. So appreciate you sharing all those and sharing about the insurance company. And then I'll have you go in and, maybe put on one of the comments, just like how people can get a hold of you or contact you, reach out to you, to Game On, stuff like that, because I think that what you're doing obviously there is awesome. And
it's fun content. I mean, it's something I'm trying to make sure that it's not boring or slow. Something
great interviews
like this, you're getting a conversation and facts and good content that all of a sudden you're done watching. You're like, man, that was like 15 minutes or that was 30 minutes. Like
exactly,
you enjoy it. So that's something I think is big.
Yep. I mean, you and I talked the other day too. I mean, it's the future of business. I mean, it's already the present, really. I mean, just most businesses aren't there yet, but that's what people want. They want stuff like this. Like you said, they want to be able to, valuetainment. They want some value, learn something, and they want to be entertained. And this is just the future of that. So, what we're doing here, obviously, and what you're doing with Game On is huge. And I love all the interviews you have on. You've been seriously, everyone go watch the interviews. There's a ton of them, and you've been piling them on. So appreciate you, what you're doing. And yeah, we'll connect soon. So
sounds good, buddy. Go green.
Yep. Go white. Appreciate you.
Awesome.
See you, Drew.
See you, buddy.